Hey everybody. People make me tired sometimes. There's this person, they like to come in and out of my life. Usually if they're showing up, they want something, need something. Never presented that way, but that's usually how it is. They're one of those people that'll hand you a carrot and then go ravage your garden, and then when you say, hey, you took everything in the garden, they go, well, I gave you a carrot. People make me tired. One of those people that are quite manipulative. They never think about what it is they're taking. They probably do, but like I said, they're manipulative. They just try to remind you of any little thing they've done, never mind everything they've taken in return that far surpasses any little thing they've done. You gotta be careful. When people come around like that, you gotta sometimes you have to burn some bridges. People love to tell me, well, Melinda, don't burn your bridges. Sometimes you need to set them on fire, though. Burn them all the way down to the ground. It's not a bridge you need to cross or give someone else the ability to cross. Just thinking. When people do things and they're hurtful and there's no acknowledgement of the problem, no accountability or change behavior, they gonna do it again. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how much they try to tell you they've changed or grown or transformed or evolved. They're gonna do it again. People like that, you gotta be careful about seeing people's potential. Sometimes you'll look for the potential in people, you'll see it, but you can't be fooled by people's potential. You have to believe who they show you they are. I'm grateful. I've had people, I've seen their potential and watching them walk into that potential, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a great gift. It gives me hope, encouragement for a future. But I have to remind myself that not everybody is going to step into the potential that you see in them. Sometimes people are toxic, and you have to be willing and able to walk away from those people and those situations. An apology without change behavior, without accountability, is just manipulation. I hate when people say that, I'm sorry, but they won't ever tell you what it is they're sorry for. They won't acknowledge what the problem is. Their sorry is all about telling you to move on, move past it, let go of it. And then they just do it again. Because they weren't really sorry. That was like all about manipulating, gaining access to your life and into you. But if someone is hurtful and habitually demonstrates hurtful and toxic behavior, they're telling you again and again they don't care about you. Something to think about. Like it says, manipulation. Sometimes people will rectify things and relationships can be repaired. I had a family member that had done a terrible thing, damaging to me. I wouldn't have a relationship with that person for many years. I had a lot of guilt from other family members, particularly my father. There were a couple times in my life where I wouldn't even speak to my father for extended periods of time. 6 months, a year. It happened several times. It was difficult and painful. I love my father dearly, but my father wouldn't even acknowledge the hurt that this person had caused. Couldn't look at it. Wanted me to forgive and move on and let it go. I was told I was being unforgiving. You can forgive people without reestablishing a bond or a connection with them. Forgiveness was never about them. It was always about you anyway, your peace. And I had forgiven that family member. I understood what had, or at least some of the things that helped shape them to be who they were, the deep trauma and pain that caused them to be the person that they were. I was able to forgive that. A lot of my family members we have quite deep and extensive trauma, generational, intergenerational trauma that exists and perpetuates. It's very difficult to not maintain contact and connections, but those connections are so painful. So often they're not willing to acknowledge them. You have to be able to walk away, and it's not always easy with people that you care for so deeply and have these, long-term connections with. People will tell you that, blood is thicker than water. It's a misuse of that phrase. It's not even the full thing. Anyway, just reflecting. Sometimes you have to be able to look at these things, no matter how difficult and painful they are. You have to look back and remember. Some of the craftier people in my life, they have some traits and they can show up and act loving and kind. They're not able to maintain it though. It's quite short term. It won't last. That is the bait. That's the hook. Eventually, their standard behavior is going to show up, and it's quite toxic and it's quite harmful. And if you're not careful, you'll allow yourself to forget. But you need to remember. So I have some no contact rules for some people, low contact with others. I'll have very limited contact. Any extensive contact is going to be quite problematic. But it's not always easy. Like I said, this person that loves to come and hand a carrot and then ravage a garden, I care very deeply about them. I understand the things that have shaped them to be who they are, and I have great compassion. But it can be a dangerous thing to have compassion for people who are deeply toxic and not willing to change at that point. Sometimes they'll try to convince you that they've changed and transformed, like I said. You have to look at, are there changed behaviors? Is there accountability for what has gone before? That's a good indicator. But anyway, just reflecting. I love you guys.